So this question is pretty loaded. Essentially, it encompasses a lot of aspects with regards to how do you have that mentality to actually attain your target score in the first attempt itself. And that's a very important mentality to have. So good job there, Kalpesh. Second, the student realizes that it is going to be a 2 to 4 month journey. So how do you make sure that you prep yourself for that length of the journey? And that's very important again. Okay. And then the third thing is, how do you have that discipline to ensure that you're focused throughout those 4 months, throughout those 2 to 4 months? So we are going to talk about this question first, and we're going to cover all the aspects over here. And as we talk about the things that you have to keep in mind, and it's a seven-pronged approach over here, which we're going to be talking about, we will be able to cover a lot of other questions as well with regards to how do I stay motivated? How do I make sure that I stick to my study schedule, and so on and so forth. Okay. So step number 1 over here is, yes, Rajat, go ahead.
First thing which is there is it's a great question, and I think the first thing is we should applaud Kalpesh for posting this question. This is something which is, I think, it's a question that a lot of people hesitate to ask. They'll say, how do you stay motivated? And so that's something which is phenomenal. And also essentially the fact that he's thinking about this, that okay, I may need help staying motivated for a 4-month duration. I think that's very mature of him. So so that's good. So, and the other thing, so the heroes just call us Rajat and Pal, don't call us ma'am and sir, please. So okay, so Pal, over to you.
Yes. So step number 1 for any GMAT attempt is you have to understand the reasoning behind it. Why are you taking the test? And that reasoning has to be very, very solid. So I want all of you over here, you're all GFE aspirants. Tell me, why is it that you're taking the test? And that why has to be so solid that why is the thing that drives you across this journey. That why is the thing that keeps you on your toes, that keeps you true to your...
Yeah, let me elaborate. What life transforming change are you expecting? That's your why. Don't say I want to do an MBA. That's the path to a goal. What's that ultimate goal? What is that desire that you want to do, that you want to get to? And that is something which you need to write down. Please write down, put it on a wall in front of you. That's really, really important. Okay.
Yeah.
That's absolutely important. So please write it down. But I can tell you, 1998 is, I don't know how many of you know, there's this thing called Landmark Education where they do leadership courses. And essentially one of the things they asked me was what I wanted to do. I was yet to graduate then. And one of the things that I said is I want to make sure that that through access to cellular telephony, everyone actually is able to get access to information. And this was 98. I went on a stage and said that. And I did that for the next 5 years after that. But again, even if you don't do it, just knowing that why, writing it down, having that courage is very, very important. Because if you don't do it, if you can't even write it down, then you won't do it. That part is certain. It's not sufficient.
Write whatever you think your why is right now. We can read those and then we can tell you whether those whys are specific enough or not. Or are they detailed enough or not?
Yeah, that why has to be a bit more motivating. So IT consulting, I want to be more specific to really say, I want to lead, I want to do IT transformation. I want to lead that kind of IT transformation that someone else who has seen leading does. It has to be that specific. This person is my role model. I want to be able to do half of what he did or twice as much as what this person has done. Be that specific.
Now, why is it that it's important to write your why? Because GMAT preparation journey is not going to be the easy one, right? It's really, and post that, your MBA application journey is going to be even more difficult. And then post that, doing an MBA, that's where, you're completely focused on it. You're doing your MBA. That is going to be pretty enjoyable. All these stages are very enjoyable, but till the time you get to that, you really have to know your why. Okay, because something's got to give. Because when you're preparing for the GMAT, when you're preparing your MBA applications, you are managing all of that with your family, with your professional career, right? So that's why you need to have a very solid why. Okay. Now, the second thing over here is you need to create a plan to get to your target score. And what does that plan entail? That plan should be specific enough that, okay, from these 3 sections, this is where I'm at. This is where I want to get to. This is how long each of these sections is going to take for me to arrive at my target score. So you have to have a very, very detailed plan, which means every one of you over here needs to have your personalized study planner created. Okay, you need to. So how many of you have created your personalized study plan?
It's a yes, no poll, Payal.
Yes, no poll. Yeah, I'm going to get that.
And so I think that part is very important. So breaking. So whenever you want to achieve a goal, it doesn't matter the GMAT. Whenever you want to achieve a goal, break it down into milestones. knowing those milestones is really important, because and understanding and achieving those milestones, and those milestones preferably should be 10-15 day milestones. That's very, very critical, because in the end, that's kind of what gets you going beyond that why. That why gets you started, and when you're down, it gets you up again. But then what gets you going is the fact that you're hitting those milestones. So that's absolutely critical.
Yes, because without the plan, you are kind of directionless. You don't know the route that you have to take, right? So that plan is absolutely vital. You know your why, but with that plan, you know how is it that you can get there. Okay, so that is very, very important. Next one is you need to understand the reasoning behind every step of the plan. Okay, if you have been instructed to do the course, why is it that you have to do the course? If you've been instructed to jump straight to stage 2, which is cementing, why is that the case? What are you going to do in cementing? All those things have to be very clear. What is the purpose behind test readiness? Why is test readiness crafted in the way it has been crafted? Okay, so
And
you
if you
have to
don't know that, and if you don't know that, ask.
yes.
Just don't
In
do it
fact, we
because
have exactly. In fact, we have a question here with regards to what is the significance of cementing. We will be taking that as well. Ask away. Don't just blindly accept that this is what I've been told. Don't go through the motions. That's the worst thing that you can do, because in that case, you're spending the time on the platform, yet you're not getting the results out of it because you are not doing it with that purpose. Okay, so you need to know the purpose behind every activity that you're doing. Next is understand the metrics that you have to achieve for each step. When you're doing the course, you need to have those metrics very, very well specified. You need to understand those metrics, and we're going to be talking about that as well when I show you the journey view. We are going to show you the journey view in which you have to have grades of B or A minus or A. Anything less than that, that is not acceptable at all. That is how you have to consider these metrics. Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, I want to just start from a higher level over there. So when you get your plan, okay, and Payal, if it's possible to share any plan, it'd be very nice.
Sure.
When you get your plan, you know what abilities you're looking for. For example, you may be looking to achieve a 90th percentile in CR or an 80th percentile in MSR. Okay, understand the significance of that outcome in terms of what it has on your overall GMAT score, and then map that significance in that one study session that you're going to do today, tomorrow, and so on and so forth. Why am I saying that? Because we look at people who build their study plans, but then when we look at their study habits, that's where we kind of see a big disconnect. When I say a disconnect in terms of the fact that do they really understand that properly or not. We'll see people aiming for, I want a 725, 735 score in ESP. There are people who even say 775. But then when it comes to translating that score into studying CR, I'd see them spend 15 minutes on a 30-minute file, then go away for 20 minutes, and then come back and spend the remaining 15 minutes. And of course, if you do that, you while learning, you disconnected your brain from the learning process. You actually connected it to another learning process, and then you came back. Of course, you're not going to learn completely. That's not someone who gets 100 percentile on the GMAT. Okay. If you're putting in time to study, make sure you give me, and if you say I'm going to study for 2 hours, give me solid 3 to 4 25-minute sessions. You can really take a break between learning activities for about 5 minutes, but I want solid learning right then and there. That's absolutely critical. If there's one challenge that I want you to overcome, is that piece. Do not give me those 25-30 minutes while doing a learning activity. Do not take a break. Before this, I also want to add one other thing. In your plan, please put in breaks. Also very critical. I mean, typically when you're done with one subsection where you've done the course and you've done cementing, it's okay to take a break for a day and a half. That's absolutely okay. Plan those breaks. You need them. Okay. And one thing which is there is, so we are building on an enhancement to the next generation of PSP where you'd be able to add breaks as well. So that's something that we're going to have Abhi, who's our CTO, in next week to try and come in, and he's going to give us a timeline on that. But essentially, really, really critical, plan breaks as well. Absolutely important for that. If you don't plan breaks, what's going to happen is your brain will slow down at some point. Maybe it happens 20-25 days in. It will slow down. It will impact your metrics. So it's way better to plan your breaks so that you know when you're going to take a break, and make sure you plan something substantial so that you truly get refreshed. That's absolutely important. Don't just study for 3 months.
These breaks are different from the breaks that you're talking about within a study session, right? Yeah, these are different. Yeah. The next thing to understand is that your learning through these different phases is going to be non-linear. Many a time students think that it's going to be a very linear trajectory. I am going to, as I'm learning, every learning step, I'm going to get better and better and better, and I'm not going to face setbacks. That is not the right expectation at all. think of your GMAT journey as a step journey. Okay, every step is and each step is almost, I won't say a 90-degree thing, but yes, it is going to be a pretty steep step, right? And that's where you have to sustain yourself as you are going through those steps. For example, when you're doing cementing, okay, even if the course takes you, let's say, 17 hours, but cementing for that particular course may take you only 7 hours, but those 7 hours are going to be a lot more challenging than those 17 hours that you would spend finishing the course. So you have to understand that part.
Actually, Payal, I think we should change this slightly. We shouldn't call learning as non-linear, its outcomes are non-linear. That is more of that.
Even the effort put in, Rajat, is non-linear. When you're going through a course, the effort that is required, yes,
that's very different. But one thing that I want to say is, thank God for this non-linearity, because if the world were linear, there are folks over here who currently make $25,000 a month, a year, and those folks 2 years from now would be making $20,000 a month. That is the non-linearity that an MBA does to you, right? The fact that that things in life are non-linear is what motivates us to do them. And the same thing applies to outcomes. The same thing applies to the amount of effort you put in. Okay, that non-linearity is what essentially pushes us forward. It gives us that momentum to improve. So really, really important. Embrace that non-linearity, leverage it. Not just embrace it, leverage it. And as Payal said, in the cementing phase, you exercise your brains a lot more than what you did during the learning phase. Be ready for it. And that error log module that's there is to ensure that you.
So cementing phase, you have to go through the cementing module very, very carefully. And you have to make sure that you understand each and every aspect there. Your error log is going to be the most critical phase once you finish the course. It is tough, absolutely, because cementing is the stage which you are doing by yourself with the guidance that the solutions are providing. But the outcome of cementing phase is completely dependent on you. If you are very, very specific about why is it that you've made the mistake, if you're filling out your error log the right way, then you're going to shine through that. But if you falter over there, if you when you're expected to spend about 5 hours creating your error log and you end up spending only 30 minutes creating your error log, then the outcome is going to be as expected. You are going to fail cementing. Okay, so cementing, you have to be absolutely thorough with it. You have to go through the cementing module and completely embrace that module, and then make sure that you fill the error log the right way. Next one is very critical. Once you get your study plan, what you have to do is you have to put in your study hours, and you have to create your calendar. You have to block those hours on your calendar, and that calendar should be shared by your near and dear ones so that they are very well aware of your commitment to your GMAT journey. So that you are, for example, if you are going out for a workout, and if you're very, very particular about it, Rajat and I are very particular about our workouts. We work out every day of every week, okay? And that workout is actually on our calendars, so that there's nothing else planned around it. There's nothing else planned on during those slots. You have to consider your GMAT study hours, study schedule in that manner, so that when you schedule your meetings at office, you schedule those meetings so that nobody else can schedule any time on your calendar, right? That's the same thing that you have to do with your GMAT study hours.
When you plan something, it's really important to track it. Okay, so if you plan those 2 hours and you can really say, okay, I'm able to get only 90 minutes. Do one thing: either change that plan to 90 minutes, or figure out why is it that you're not able to get 2 hours. It's absolutely critical to remind yourself and remind people around you. Make sure people around you know that, at least the critical ones, the ones who will get impacted by this. That's even before you buy a course, you should do that. Let me just be very clear. It doesn't matter whether you're our student or someone else's student. Make sure those people understand it, because then it'll solve a lot of problems for you.